Hey everyone, and welcome. If you want to level up your Java game, then you are in exactly the right spot. Today, we are going to break down three super important keywords: final, static, and what happens when you put them both together. Seriously, getting a handle on these is going to make your code cleaner, way more efficient, and just better. So let's dive right in.
So have you ever been writing code and thought, I really need to lock this value down? Set a rule that just can't be broken? Or maybe you needed one single resource that every single part of your program could use without you having to make a bunch of copies all over the place. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. We're going to look at the keywords that let you do precisely that. Create those unchangeable variables, those shared resources, and what we call true constants in Java.
Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll tackle the final keyword. That's all about making things unchangeable. Then, we'll jump into static, which is all about sharing. After that, we'll see the magic that happens when you combine them, and of course, we'll wrap it all up with a quick review.
All right, first up, the final keyword. Think of this one as the rule of unchangeable. So, what's the deal with final? The most important thing to remember is this. Once you declare something as final, it's locked in. That's it. It's like you're setting a rule in stone, and there's no changing it later on in your program. Period. And you can use this unchangeable rule in three different places. You can make a variable final, which means you can only give it a value one time. You can make a method final, which stops other classes, subclasses, from changing how it works. And you can even make a whole class final, which means no other class can inherit from it at all. And we'll get to why that's so useful in just a sec.
I love this analogy. Think of final as writing a rule in permanent ink. It really is the perfect way to picture it. Once it's there, it's not changing. The decision is made, and it's locked in for good.
Okay, here's a real-world example you've definitely run into. The string class in Java. It's actually a final class, and there's a huge reason for that. It's all about security and reliability. Because it's final, you know for a fact that its behavior can't be messed with by some other class. It prevents anyone from creating, say, a sneaky version of string that could break your whole application.
So, when should you use final? Well, anytime you need to put your foot down and enforce a strict, unchangeable rule. If you want to make sure a value never changes, a method is never overridden, or a class is never extended, final is your tool. It's all about making your code predictable and super safe.
Okay, that's final. Now let's switch gears to our next keyword, static. This one introduces a totally different kind of rule, the rule of sharing. So what's the big idea with static? Well, static things, like variables or methods, don't belong to individual objects. Nope, they belong to the class itself. Think of it like a shared resource for every single object created from that class. And this is a great way to think about it. A normal variable is like a private notebook that each student gets. But a static variable? That's like a central bulletin board for the entire class. There's only one of them, and everybody sees and uses the exact same one.
And this is where things get really practical. A normal variable means every single object you create gets its own copy. But with a static variable, all objects share one single copy. It belongs to the class, not the object. And the big win here? It saves a ton of memory, especially if you're creating hundreds or thousands of objects.
So what can be static? Well, just like final, you can use it in a few places. We've talked about static variables, that single shared copy. You can also have static methods. These are super useful for utility functions that you can just call directly on the class without needing to create an object first. A classic example is math.max. And then you have static blocks, which is just a chunk of code that runs one time and one time only, right when the class is first loaded into memory.
All right, so we've got final for unchangeable and static for shared. Now, what happens when we combine them? This is where the real power comes in. When you put static and final together, you literally get the best of both worlds. Static means it's shared by all instances, and final means it can never ever be changed. It's that simple. You take unchangeable from final, you add shared from static, and what do you get? A true global constant. This is the official Java recipe for creating a value that's available everywhere and is totally locked down. So why is this static-final combo so important? Well, for one, it defines a clear global constant for your app. It's also super memory efficient, right? Because there's only one copy. And maybe most importantly, it's safe for multi-threading. Since the value can never change, you don't have to worry about different threads causing data conflicts. It's a huge win for writing reliable code. All right, that was a lot, I know. So let's do a super quick review to pull it all together and make sure it sticks.
Let's break it down one last time. You've got final. Its job is to make things unchangeable, like writing in permanent ink. Then you've got static, which is all about sharing, that central bulletin board idea. And when you put them together, static final, you get the ultimate rule, a value that is both shared and completely unchangeable.
And there you have it. Now you know the rules of final and static. Getting these down is a massive step towards writing really solid professional Java code. So what other Java keywords are you going to master next? I really hope this explainer helped clear things up and got you excited to learn even more. Thanks so much for joining me, and happy coding.